Hello, 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 and a very good evening to you. If you're watching us live, great to have you with us. And I can never really tell how many people we've got watching live because, well, we're going out on lots of different platforms. We're going out on LinkedIn, we're going on YouTube, we're going out on Facebook, and of course on StreamYard as well. If you are watching live and you do have the comment section next to the video, be sure to say hello, and you can get to ask some questions as well. And if there is enough on us of us towards the end of the show, we'll do our usual giveaway. And so it's hashtag. Let me just get that up for everybody. It's hashtag. I think we went with UKCPD. What do we do? It's hashtag big. So be inspired group. We're going to go with this evening. And if you do have any questions, you can always get in touch by sending us an email. But as I say, if you're watching live, be sure to put the question or hello, tell us where you're listening, if you're somewhere in the UK or overseas. And I've had several overseas phone calls this week already with overseas students, which has been very, very exciting and great for the college. And so hello to all of you guys overseas in the Caribbean and in the United States, and one in India, and another in Germany. So it's been really, really exciting to speak to all of you students overseas. So be sure to, in the comments box, say who you are, where you're listening, and as we go along, if you've got any questions, you can always ask us. So that's pretty exciting. Now then, we've got a lot to get through this evening, so I'm going to jump straight in with my slides. Let me just get those up here now. Here we go. We got to start. So what we're talking about this evening is this notion of, if you really want to make a big difference to the future, have a bit more success, don't just set simple goals. And what I mean by simple goals is kind of like the New Year's resolutions things that kind of turn into wishes and wants and eventually kind of frustrations. So what we're really talking about here is setting well-formed futures, which is kind of an evolution or a bigger version of the NLP version of well-formed outcomes. But I'm going to get to that as we go along. So a couple of quotations, as ever, with me to sort of get us in the right frame of mind. And so this is an interesting one. The mystery of human existence. So the mystery of human existence lies not in just staying alive, but in finding something to live for. In finding something to live for. So the mystery of existence is not just staying alive, the 9 to 5. It's really about something else, finding something to really live for. I want to hear from Churchill. It's not enough to have lived. We should be determined to live for something. Living for something. Oh, my software is just trying to tell me they're scanning for viruses. Well, we know you've done that earlier, so you don't need to do it again. So we'll skip on to that. And excuse me coughing and joking. I've had this terrible head cold all week. So that was Churchill. And then Mark Twain, the two most important days in life are the day you're born and the day you found out why. Now, a lot of people go through life but don't really live. They're going through the motions. So what I'm going to suggest in this presentation is that if you set these well-formed futures, or a life well planned is another way of putting it, I think people will tend to find a passion, get involved in something that really gets them jumping out of bed in the morning. So living a purposeful, if I get the word out, life goes beyond simply existing. It means actively seeking meaning and fulfillment in every aspect of our lives. By aligning our actions, our goals, and values with a greater purpose, we can experience a profound sense of satisfaction and contentment in our lives. So this is me talking now. I say it's about living intentionally. I'm intending something to happen, making choices. So there's an intention, and I'm making choices that contribute to personal growth. And in that process, creating a life that reflects our desires and passions. Now, as I've worked with my clients, and I've got a lot of coaching clients from all different backgrounds, life coaching, people looking for a job, or generally sort of figure things out about where they're going in life, or working with CEOs or corporate people in large leadership in corporations, or lawyers or accountants. Something sort of began to surface over a period of time. And it was this notion of well-formed futures. And it started to join different bits of things from NLP, from coaching, from my own thinking and my own sort of work that I do. And so I came up with this term, well-formed futures. And that's kind of what we're going to be exploring this evening, this notion of well-formed futures. So the question might be straight away then, what do I mean, or what do we mean by this notion of well-formed futures? And I could describe it in a lot of ways. And I was thinking about this today, and I was sat in my chair at my desk, and I was thinking, I really want the one sentence version rather than a big long dissertation about how I explain the notion of well-formed futures. And so I came up with this short paragraph. Really, it's about taking the time. So yes, you've got to take some time and just sort of think about for a second, I'm going to develop a long-term plan that includes key milestones that leads to this notion of a life well planned, or as I might say, this notion of a well-formed future. It's like a well-formed goal, but it's a bigger thing. It's a longer period of time. So as you go through, you'll see this about taking a little time and getting the old life compass out, if you will, and your values, and thinking about where do you want to be in a few years' time. Now, this whole model, if I can call it that, this concept, this notion, is still evolving. It's still evolving and it's still growing. And I'm still working on it because I've been testing different bits with different clients. Now, some of the clients are very aware of what I'm doing and say, oh, I'm delivering this idea. So we're going to be kind of fitting this into what we're kind of working on, because it fits very well, a longer period of time with your business, and in one particular person about retiring, where they wanted to spend the rest of their lives. So this kind of life vision might be another way of putting it, or a life plan, but this notion of well-formed futures. And you can see this is the basic model. We'll go into that in more detail in a second. So another motivational quote here, just to kind of keep us focused on what we're talking about, is when you find your why. Now, my colleague Ross Temple, he talks about that why. Your why must be better than your try. So it's when you find your why, you don't hit the snooze button. You leap out of bed and you make it happen. You leap out of bed and make it happen. Now, everybody knows that I'm the 5 o'clock club. I get up in the morning very, very early, out for a walk. You may have seen some of the videos we've been doing first thing in the morning. As soon as the sun comes up, I have a shower, breakfast, I'm out, and we do a sort of answering of the questions. If you haven't seen them, they're on social media, on our YouTube channel, they're on LinkedIn, Facebook, and also on Instagram. And if you can't find us, just at UKCPD, pretty much all of our channels. So we're trying to get away from hitting the snooze button. There's a reason, there's a why, because there's a little bit of passion. We really have something that's really interesting, and it's not I'm going on holidays next week for 2 weeks in Greece or Spain or something. It's bigger than that. It's a bigger plan, a much, much bigger plan. So a couple of questions, and again, this is evolving, and I'm putting together a whole sort of questionnaire, and we'll probably run a whole workshop on this in the coming months. But a couple of questions to get us started. And again, you'll need a pen and paper, I guess. So reflect on the last 20 years or so. What kind of person have you become? Now, the reason for this question, of course, is it's measuring where you've been and how you got here. So what's happened so that you become this kind of person? How did I get here? What happened? What were the sequence of events? And how much control have I had over those events? Or have a lot of it happened to me? Or how much of it was I driving it? They're the kind of questions that you want to explore. And then once you've had to think about that, it's going to, okay, so what achievements have I accomplished in that amount of time? And what do they mean to me? I mean, are they super important? Do I really, really think, wow, they're really, really powerful? Or do I think, yeah? Now, sometimes people discount their accomplishments because they're not being pretty honest with themselves. And in coaching, we often do that thing, let's do a skills and audit, experience audit, and there's sort of 2-3 things. You think, hang on a second, you've done more things than that. You're in your 40s, you must have. And we start exploring, find out they've done a whole bunch of things that are really, really super powerful. So what achievements have you accomplished? Again, make a list. Now, the reason for the list, of course, is this is becoming a resource to lean on when we get to the next bit. Before we go on to that, we'd ask the question, what achievements have you not accomplished that you always wished you had? And again, you might need to think about that for a second. What achievements have you not accomplished that you always wished you had? Because that could be a clue as to what you might really want to do. But maybe there's some passion there, some real focus that you'd like thinking, actually, yeah, if I just pivoted my work or my life in some little way, I could do something that really I've always wanted to do and I've got a passion for. Okay, so the second part of the exercise, and as I say, this is still evolving. What I'd like you to do is, again, another piece of paper, take some time, and then imagine yourself in 5, 10, or even 20 years from now, depending on your age. I always say to people, you need to have a 6-month goal or outcome that you're working towards, a year, and 5 years. So that's kind of how I work with my clients. I have a 6-month, you can have sort of mini goals in between, of course, but sort of a chunky one at 6 months, definitely something for a year that needs to be accomplished in the year. And those of you who are in the Be Inspired group, you'll see we did that back in January, setting really powerful anchors for the in the future timeline so that we'd work towards them. And then maybe a 5-year plan as well. Maybe it might not be as filled in and sort of clear, but that's the kind of general direction I want to take my business or my professional life or my even personal life, or I might want to move house, and who knows. So just take that time and just imagine what that would be like, or what you want it to be. What does it look like? Where do you want to be living? What sort of home do you want to live in? What sort of car do you think you'd like to be driving? What sort of work would you like to be involved in? And what condition would you like your body to be in, your general health, etc.? I don't mind sharing with you, I've been trying to lose some weight because my cholesterol was too high, it was a bit too heavy, I got high blood pressure, and it's going in the right direction. So my doctor this week and is super happy and everything's going in the right direction. I also had another test for something else, and again, that's come back really, really positive news. It's always great when you can say you get a negative report. You think, that's good news, and that's what I had. So it was just a silly scare, and everything is fine. So that's one of the questions you want to ask yourself, because maybe there's some work, like I'm going through at the moment personally, some work that you have to do to fix that. But in a way, for most of us, it's kind of what work, mission, or thing do we really want to be involved in? So for me, it's easy. It's the work I do. It's my coaching work. It's here with the college. It's working with the students. It's working with the professional bodies. It's all of that stuff that I'm involved in. It's not really a work. The old adage, do something you love and you never go to work again. In a sense, I'm lucky enough to be able to do that. So again, that's another thing you might want to think about. What do I want to be doing work-wise, professionally, for the next year, 5 years, 10 years, etc., etc., etc. Now, I'm not suggesting you can answer these questions very quickly. In fact, I'd encourage you not to answer them very quickly. I'd encourage you to take your time and really, really think about what's important to you as you work your way through those questions, because that's the difference that will make the difference. And once again, if you're watching live, be sure to put hashtag in the box, and if there's enough of us, we'll run the prize at the end. If you've got any questions, be sure to put them in the chat box, and we'll answer as we go along. Now, to help us answer some of these questions that I've been asking, its useful tool is to use the coaching wheel or the life wheel. And it's very easy to work at, and you can download one of those from the internet pretty much anywhere, I would think. If not, email me and I'll send it back to you via email. And you can kind of have two: where you are today and where you want to be in the future. Where you are today and where you want to be in the future. So another little quotation here, just to sort of break it up here, from James Allen, the man who wrote As a Man Thinketh, and we sell that book on our bookshop. To begin to think with purpose is to enter the ranks of those strong ones who only recognize failure as the pathway to attainment. How powerful is that when you really think about it? To begin to think with purpose. So we deliberately, like I said earlier, this intention, just think with purpose. And then we enter into the ranks of those strong ones who only recognize failure as one of the pathways to attainment. And of course, as I was saying last night and last night's broadcast, there's no failure, only feedback. One of the foundational stones of building a personal philosophy for success. which is connected in another way to what we're talking about this evening. And I'm not going to go all of the detail about how all of these things fit together this evening because we won't have time, but we'll definitely do a bigger workshop in the future. So thinking about setting well-formed futures, how do we make a start? That's probably the good question. Now, I've talked many times about the notion from NLP of well-formed outcomes. So we want a positive statement. It's super specific. We're in control of it. We own this. There's not a whole committee of people. It's ecologically sound and it's evidence-based. What will I see, hear, and feel is what we're talking about here. So in a sense, what we're doing is we're doing a bigger version of that. And so this is kind of the overview model as it is at the moment. But as I say, it's still evolving. And we're introducing other things like the philosophy part and some other cool things. So we'll get to, fleshing it out fully. We'll publish something in Think Big, the Journal of Personal Development, and we'll put it on there, and then we'll maybe have a workshop as well. So first off, it's the notion of developing a clear future vision, super crystal clear. And, we always say the one sentence version. The one sentence version. And we clarify the motivation for this overall, the set of outcomes, or this key outcome. What's the motivation? What will this do for you? And then what else? And then what else? Now, the then what else is very important because it's the goal beyond the goal. When I achieve this, I'll be able to do this. And then this, and then this. So we're beginning to have a timeline of things out into the future that we kind of a roadmap of success, development, and growth towards an overall goal, the well-formed future. And then we set specific time-framed milestones, and I'll talk more about that in a second. And then we identify the resources and the obstacles, because we're talking about a long time. So we have to kind of pencil in, okay, so what could go wrong? What would be difficult? What resources could we bring in? And so this takes a long time. Now, I mentioned I'm working with a couple of people on this at the moment. Now, the retiring person, very interesting, because we've spent a good few weeks now working on this, and it's really interesting. We're just developing this big piece of personal development for this individual about what they want to do. They've been lucky enough to make a lot of money, and they're retiring quite young, to be perfectly honest with you. But that's great because they can do that. But they want to do something really cool and really good with their resources. A really beautiful thing that they want to do for their community. So that's that. And then we're developing an action plan, but we want to know how we're going to implement it and how we're going to monitor it. Because what gets measured gets improved. So identify the resource, the obstacles, then the plan, and then how we're going to implement it. What's the strategy to implement it? And how we're going to monitor it. And then we get feedback and support from anybody that we can rope in to help us. And then perhaps we might even go around a second time if that's needed. Now, that's a bigger picture, so we need to break it down. Now, how do you do that? How do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. And so the tools that we need are the 4 Ds to start with. The clear destination for step 1. The motivating desire is crystal clear for each step of the way. Real world design. And I'm very passionate about this, that it's not all, well, it'll be this and it'll be that. No, crystal clear. And if things are vague, they need to be clarified. They need to be clarified. What tools and other things do we need for each step of the way? And then the practical deployment as we take each step forward. So without, the well-formed future, outcome 1, outcome 2, outcome 3. So these are the milestones that we have along the continuum till we get to the well-formed future. And we're very clear about how that works, the direction of travel. It takes a while to plan this out, and you'll need to build in some flexibility. We've talked about the pillars of success before on some other videos that we've done. So timeline of outcomes, milestones rather, leading to the greater thing, the greater picture as we go forward. Now, as I've said, there's lots of different things that we're implementing into this, and one of them is the what coaching method. Now, college members will know, because I talk about this a lot on one of our trainings. What is it that you want? Step 2 is what's the current situation, and explore all of that. Step 3 is what strategy or ideas can we generate. Step 4, what timeframes are we looking at? And step 5, what actions will you commit to? So we're kind of doing a version of that And it's a bit the same, but one of the key differences, and we're writing up the questions at the moment to have a kind of a coaching template for people so we can teach this model in an easier way, is, once you get that first outcome and you're sort of working on things, what will that do for you? And it's the specificity of how doing that leads to the next step, and then the next step. And so always kind of in your unconscious mind, you're beginning to make this kind of tenuous kind of connection and reaching out into the future, how these things will join together, like kind of a jigsaw into the future. A bit Ted James in a way, I suppose, and that's kind of what I've been doing. It's really, really interesting how that's working and how that sparks off new ideas and wait a minute, we could do this, or wait a minute, I've never realized I could do that, or there's that other resource. My friend, he knows about that thing. He'll be able to come and help me with that bit. And so we really begin to build out a big plan and a big strategy of how to move forward. So another quotation here for us, just to sort of keep our mind focused here. If you can't figure out your purpose, figure out your passion. If you can't figure out your purpose, figure out your passion, or your passion will lead you right into your purpose. And I have a sense that that's probably true, because I worked in the corporate world, and I had no idea I wanted to do this for a living, and run a college and have students. That never entered my head. But once I realized something about my purpose was to make a difference in the world. My purpose is to make a difference, to add some kind of value, but I didn't know how to do it. And then I think a lot of you listening will know that I sort of bumped into personal development, then NLP and coaching frames. I thought, this is what I want to do. This is what I want to do. Now, yesterday, and thank you for the feedback we've had this morning, because not many people watched us live yesterday, but clearly they watched the video because we had some comments in, and thank you for all of that. And you'll see the connection here. We were talking about success mindset, which is linked to what we're talking about. And I talked about learning, studying NLP and coaching, because together it's what makes the really, really cool recipe to create success. And the reason is, if I'm going to be setting this well-formed future, I'm going to need skills. I'm going to need great communication skills, state management, goal setting ability, team leading skills, coaching skills, problem solving, strategy, influencing, confident in speaking, telling people what I'm doing and my passion, maybe conflict resolution. I have this positive outlook. I can create rapport. I'm solution focused, and so on and so on and so on. They're all the skills that you get when you study NLP and coaching together. And if you're interested in that, our program will be starting at the beginning of October. Be sure to get in touch. Okay, I think we're coming to the end now. So the heart of human excellence often begins to beat when you discover a pursuit that absorbs you, frees you, challenges you, or gives you a sense of meaning, joy, or passion. And I really do believe that, because that's been my personal experience. So that brings us to the end of this short presentation on this notion of well-formed futures. And as I say, if you're watching the video on the catch-up and you've got a question about this, about personal development generally, or NLP, or coaching, or anything around personal or professional development, be sure to email us in. More than happy to help. And if you have enjoyed this, I'm going to suggest it might be a good idea to join the Be Inspired group. Join the Be Inspired group. It's completely free to join. And what do you get when you join? Well, you join a community of people who are interested in personal and professional development. And what we have is every single morning at 7 a.m., we send out a motivational or inspirational quote, just to get the old bit of, yes, I'm going to be positive today, I'm going to get stuff done. That goes out every single morning at weekdays at 7 a.m. Except for Mondays, of course, where we send out a self-coaching video. Video gets sent out, asking questions with some different kind of content, just kind of like, okay, getting us ready for the week ahead. So self-coaching is a self-development video every single Monday, again, gets sent out at 7 o'clock every morning. And then at the end of the month, usually on a Thursday, occasionally on a Wednesday evening, mostly on a Thursday evening. The difference there is because other things happen here at the college and we can't be in two places at once, but we have a live event just like this, and look, everybody comes along, all the members come along. We've got some great content. We also have some great guests on for interviews, and we always do a giveaway. We run the thing at the end, so #big, at the end, and we do give away like books, coaching books here, or courses, or any number of things that we send out in the post. Okay, so that brings me to the end of today's presentation. Let me just get rid of my slides here. There we go. I hope you found that enjoyable. As I say, if you've got any questions, please do get in touch. We're here to help. And that brings us to the end of tonight's event. All I can say is thank you very much for watching, and take care of yourselves. And I hope to see you on the next show. Till then, take care. Bye for now.